Welcome to today's live reading from Ramayana, the story of Lord Ram compiled by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami. At the moment we are on Ayodhya Kanda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham karoti vachalam vam langhaite kim tat yat kripatam vande shri kundim Paramananda Madam Shri Chaitanya Vishwaram Vancha Kalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So yesterday we are talking about the Bharat and his entourage of his mothers, the soldiers, his ministers, and lots of people from Ayodhya reaching Bharadwaj Muni's ashram. Then they proceeded from there onwards to Chitrakoot, where Ram, Lakshman and Sita were kind of, we can say, residing at that moment. And the brothers, they met, and Ram found out that King Dashrath has passed on, and now from there on we proceed. Next, the great rishi named Jabali began to speak with the hope of inspiring within Ram some desire to enjoy royal opulence and sense gratification, thus causing him to return to Ayodhya. Jabali expounded the following atheistic philosophy. O Prince, the living is nothing more than the resultant combination of sperm and ovum. The father is the efficient cause of the living being and the mother is the material cause. But in reality, the only cause of creation is the chance interaction of atomic particles. When a person dies, he once more becomes dust. Thus, everything is only a combination of atoms and nothing more. What we call mother, father, son, or daughter has no actual relationship with us. Ram, why should you undergo suffering just for the sake of your so-called father? What is the use of performing funeral ceremonies? Can the dead eat your offerings? Only what we can directly perceive is the all in all. Therefore, my dear Ram, you should enjoy that which is pleasing to the senses by accepting the kingdom from Bharat. Hearing this diatribe, Ram angrily replied, your views are impiety in the garb of piety. So it's a lovely simile given here. It's not analogy, it's a kind of, I think, simile. They are most dangerous. In the name of wisdom, you are preaching the grossest ignorance. Real knowledge leads to self-realization, whereas one who lives only for the pleasure of the senses becomes a slave to uncontrolled lust and greed. Truth is the highest principle of virtue. Thus, I will adhere to the order of my father without being swayed by the aspiration for personal sense gratification. This earth is the field of action. When one attains the rarely achieved human birth, he should only perform pious activities. My father made mistake by keeping you as a minister because your views are atheistic. A non-believer like you is so condemned that the Vedas prohibit one from even seeing his face. So it looks like what the lessons given by Jabali was more of a karmi kind, and Ramchandra Lord was telling some other deep lessons in his realizations. A non-believer like yourself is so condemned that the Vedas prohibit one from even seeing his face. Jabali then admitted, in truth, I am a follower of the Vedas. I have framed I have firm faith in the existence of God. I was only speaking from the viewpoint in hoping of persuading you to return to Ayodhya. At that, Vashisht intervened. Since Ram had become highly agitated by Jabali's speech, Jabali spoke like an atheist only because he knew how much everyone wants you to return to Ayodhya, to sit on the throne in the dynasty of Ikshvaku. Every great ruler of the past selected their eldest son to inherit the kingdom. The unbroken rule has been that for as long as the elder brother is alive, the younger brother cannot accept the throne. Therefore, we again implore you to return to Ayodhya. You should consider that to deny my order would be an irreligious act. The instructions of the Guru take precedence over those given by mother or father. Ram, however, remained adamant, insisting that one's duty to his parents is inviolable. When Bharat realized that his attempt to persuade Ram was futile, he became so sad that he ordered Sumantra, "Spread kusha grass in front of the doorway of Ram's cottage. I will sit there blindfolded, foregoing all food and drink until Ram relents and accepts the royal throne." Sumantra, however, would not act without Ram's order. Thus Bharat spread the kusha grass with his own hands and sat down in front of the Ram's cottage. Ram then said, "Dear brother, why are you adopting this attitude? Why are you so stubbornly trying to oppose me?" Thus addressed, Bharat gave up the idea of fasting until death, but continued pleading, "Let me act as your proxy by staying here in the forest for 14 years while you return to Ayodhya." Just then a host of celestial rishis appeared invisibly in the sky and applauded the wonderful conversation between the brothers. Then, desiring to accelerate the death of Ravan, the rishis said, "O Bharat, you should follow the advice of your elder brother Ram." So we can say this whole Leela has been kind of enacted by the demigods and all the celestial beings because they want to bring the end to the Ravan's reign in Lanka. Finally, surrendering to the inevitable, Bharat produced a pair of wooden sandals inlaid with gold. He then requested Ram to place his lotus feet on them. Ram did as his brother asked and returned the sandals to Bharat. Then with the sandals in hand, Bharat bowed to Ram, saying, "After relegating the burden of ruling the kingdom to these sandals, I will remain outside Ayodhya wearing matted hair and clothing of tree bark. O Ram, I shall subsist upon only fruit and roots while awaiting your return. If, however, after 14 years you do not come back to Ayodhya, then I shall give up my life by entering the fire." Ram sanctioned this statement and then embraced Bharat and Shatrughna, assuring them that he would return after the term of his exile had expired. With tears in his eyes, Ram bid farewell to his brothers and urged them not to neglect or hate Kaikeyi. Ram then spoke sweet words to his mother. Although they were too upset to reply, Bharat then circumambulated Ram, and at last, while imploring everyone to leave for Ayodhya, Ram turned his back and entered the cottage. Placing Ram's sandals upon his head, Bharat mounted his chariot. Along with Shatrughna, they set out, keeping the Brahmanas in front. When they arrived at the ashram of Bharadwaj, the sage inquired whether Bharat had seen Ram and if he had accomplished his mission. Bharat replied that Ram was determined to observe his term of exile. Vashisht brought forth Ram's wooden sandals and requested Bharadwaj to empower them with the potency to fulfill the needs of the people of Ayodhya. This was ceremoniously done by Bharadwaj, and thereafter Bharat clasped the Rishi's feet and took permission to depart. Returning by the same path he previously followed, Bharat finally arrived at the outskirts of Ayodhya. When he saw the city's desolate appearance, he said to Sumantra, "Without Ram, Ayodhya has no life, just as the material body remains inert as soon as the living force passes out of it." Upon entering Dashrath's palace, Bharat broke down and cried. Seeing its desolate appearance, Bharat then announced that he would retire to Nandigram to live as an ascetic. As the ministers praised his noble determination, Bharat called for his chariot and departed with Shatrughna. Out of spontaneous affection, all Ayodhya citizens followed Bharat to Nandigram, a village just outside Ayodhya. Upon his arrival, Bharat first ordered his ministers to install Ram's shoes upon a royal throne. Thereafter, remaining at Nandigram with his army, Bharat submitted the state affairs before Ram's shoes. Including all gifts presented to him. Bharat would often be seen holding the royal umbrella over Ram's shoes or fanning them with a chamar. In this way, he ruled the kingdom for 14 years, always feeling subordinate to Lord Ram, who remained there in the form of his shoes. Meanwhile, Ram noticed that there was anxiety within the minds of the rishis living in the vicinity of Chitrakoot mountain. Feeling that he might be the cause, Ram humbly approached the chief rishi and said, "I can see that something is disturbing the minds of the rishis living here. Please tell me if you can, especially if I am at fault." The old rishi said, "My dear Ram, there could never be any fault on your part. Our fear is caused by the Rakshasas headed by Khar, the younger brother of Ravan. Being envious by nature, Khar and other Rakshasas come before us in hideous forms and disrupt our sacrifices and pollute our bodies with impure substances. We shall move to another area before Rakshasas resort to violence. I plan to take my disciples to the ashram of Ashramuni not far from here. If you like, you may also accompany me and take up the residence there." Ram gave the rishi permission to depart but informed him that he would remain at Chitrakoot. Later on, however, Ram felt uncomfortable about staying there since the memory of Bharat and his mothers haunted him. Ram also felt that the area had become contaminated by the stool of the horses and elephants of Bharat's army. Thus, he finally made up his mind to go elsewhere. Ram, Sita and Lakshman thus left Chitrakoot for the ashram of Atri Muni, where they were received affectionately as if they were the Rishi's own children. When Atri called for his aged wife Anasuya to welcome Sita, the eternal consort of Ram, approached the ascetic woman with great humility. Having greeted that hermitess who was endowed with self-restraint, Sita, full of joy, inquired after her health with joined palms. So they went to the ashram of another hermit, Atri Muni, and the hermitess Anasuya. Seeing the highly blessed and celebrated Sita, who was given to the practice of virtue, the old lady thereupon comfortingly said to her, "Luckily enough, you have your eyes fixed on the righteousness, O Sita. I am glad that you are following your husband Sri Ram, who has been exiled to the forest. Worlds that are attended with great prosperity await those women to whom their husband is dear, no matter whether he lives in a city or in a forest, whether he is propitious or adverse. In the eyes of women who are blessed with a noble disposition, the husband is the highest deity, no matter whether he is ill-mannered or licentious or entirely devoid of riches. I do not see for woman a friend greater than the husband and more capable of yielding one's own desired object at all places, like the imperishable fruit of one's austerities. O princes of the Videha kingdom, those evil women, however, whose hearts are swayed by desire, who lord it over their husband, having no sense of virtue and vice, and move about at will, do not follow him in the aforesaid manner. Indeed, fallen a prey to lust, women who belong to that category, O princes of Mithila, meet with a fall from virtue and also reap infamy. Women like you, on the other hand, who are adorned with virtues like devotion to their husband and who know what is good and evil in the world, will dwell in heaven in the same way as those who have performed meritorious deeds. Therefore, remaining devoted to the service of this prince, looking upon him as the foremost object of your worship and carefully serving him. Practice virtue in cooperation with him. Therefore, thereby you will easily attain fame as well as religious merit. Appreciating Anasuya's words, Sita modestly replied as follows: This instruction which you have given to me is no matter for wonder on your holiness' part. It is, however, already known to me that the husband is the adored of a chaste wife. Even if this husband of mine were ignoble and without any means of livelihood, I ought to have nonetheless conducted myself in the same way, without hesitation or scruple towards him. This was my duty. How much worthy of devotion then he is who is deserving of praise by virtue of his excellences and excellent qualities, headed by compassion, who has controlled his senses, who is constant in his love, whose mind is set on righteousness, and who is as loving as a mother and father combined. So Sita Mata is giving the qualities of her, saying the qualities of her husband, Lord Sri Ram. Sri Ram, who is possessed of great might, conducted himself towards others, the consorts of the kings, his stepmothers, in the same way as he did towards Kaushalya, his own mother. Whatever was taught to me by my mother-in-law while I was coming to the lonely forest stands inscribed on my heart, nay, that lesson to which was actually imparted to me in the past by my mother, while making over my hand to the bridegroom at the time of marriage, in the presence of the sacred fire, is still remembered by me. All that teaching has actually been renewed in my mind by your teaching. O lady, given to the practice of virtue, no austerity other than the service of a husband is enjoined on a wife, steadfast in their vow of fidelity to their husbands. Many exalted women are highly respected in the realm of gods by the dint of their meritorious action. Being pleased with Sita, Anasuya said, My dear child, I wish to offer you a benediction. Using my ample stock of ascetic merit, just tell me what you would like. Sita replied, O great saintly lady, your presence is itself a most sufficient benediction. Nevertheless, Anasuya happily gave Sita a celestial garland that never faded, celestial ornaments and cosmetics that were in all inexhaustible. Even then when Anasuya requested her to narrate the story of her marriage to Ram, Sita replied as follows: While my father, King Janak, was plying the soil to prepare a sacrificial altar, I suddenly emerged from the earth, covered with dust. A celestial voice then announced that I should be accepted by the childless king. Thus I was raised as the daughter of Maharaj Janak. Then, as I approached puberty, my father became anxious since he could not find a suitable husband for such a divinely born girl. Finally, he decided to hold a swayamvar wherein I would be allowed to marry anyone who could string the bow of Lord Shiva given by Varun to our ancestor Devvrat. However, even the greatest of kings failed to lift the bow. What to speak of stringing it? However, Ram arrived at Mithila along with Vishwamitra, and he easily broke the bow into two after stringing it. But Ram would not accept me as his wife until he received permission from his father, Maharaj Dashrath. Thus, it was only after the arrival of the Kaushal king that the marriage ceremony was performed. After Sita had told the story and evening was approaching, Anasuya requested Sita to attend to her husband after adorning herself with her newly acquired jewels. Ram was pleased to see Sita so exquisitely decorated, and that night they slept at Atri Rishi's ashram. The next morning, Ram inquired from the Rishi about the path leading to the Dandakaranya forest. The Rishi then gave Ram directions and warned him that forest is infested with fierce and malicious Rakshasas. They take pleasure in devouring anyone living there that neglects to rinse his mouth after eating or drinking, or who is inattentive in following any other religious injunctions. Thereafter, Ram took leave of the Rishi and, accompanied by Sita and Lakshman, entered the dense forest like the moon entering the mass of dark clouds. So here ends the Ayodhya Kanda, and we will proceed on to the Aranya Kanda in our next reading. I wish you all a very blissful day ahead. This is the 4th day of Damodar month, and tomorrow is Karwa Chauth. I know many of the ladies will be observing the Karwa Chauth as well, so I wish you All the ladies are happy Karwa Chauth. And please chant and be happy. Hare Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.